an employment and business needs survey, perhaps for each sort of community area partnership before getting on to the more detailed stuff. Specifically, we came up with about 5 different points. The first main point, probably the most important, was for youth employment. It was felt that although there wasn't too much of a problem in terms of maths and English, the lack of skills wasn't a problem for employers. It was noted that there's no university or tertiary college in Wiltshire, let alone in the south, and there could be more use made of apprenticeship schemes. Transport also figured quite heavily. The cost of car ownership for young people is prohibitive because of the cost of fuel and also the cost of insurance, which means that, as I say, car ownership is not viable for them really. So transport does need to be subsidised and continue to be subsidised. And it was suggested perhaps subsidised bus travel, rather like the young person's rail card up until the age of 25. For businesses, for existing businesses, parking is obviously a problem still. Also interesting comments about giving support via the rating system, the business rating system. And there was one suggestion regarding the more number of people that businesses employ, the lower their rates should be. In other words, you link the business rate for the business to the number of people employed. For new businesses, there was a suggestion there should be no rates for the first 3 years, plus support given by perhaps a business mentor who could help manage or mitigate the initial risk in the early stages because they would be experienced. That covered just the businesses. Going on to perhaps more general points, broadband and mobile phone coverage towards the end, they were mentioned. There was a need to increase downloading speeds and to fill in the knock spots to encourage companies to relocate to the area from the outside, and need to continue to press Wiltshire Council's collaboration with the commercial companies in this regard. Tourism came up as an issue. There needs to be a more localised approach rather than a generic sort of county-wide visit Wiltshire approach. And it was noted that there were no major hotel facilities in the south either. People do tend to come in by coach, visit for a day and then go. And finally, and this is possibly more of an indirect problem, is in fact the cost of heating oil, domestic heating oil. Because it's so high, it takes away a fair chunk of people's disposable income, which could otherwise be spent in the local economy. So there's a suggestion that the bulk purchase schemes, as started up at the moment by Community First, should be encouraged and investigated further, and possibly as well looking into communities bulk buying electricity as well for their communities. So that's us. Thank you.
To make young children and young people a priority, and to do that by properly, actively engaging with young people, getting out and about and finding out what it is they want and what they need. That was first of our priorities. We also felt there was a real issue around cross-border working. A lot of our young people access services and go to secondary school in particularly Dorset and one area, probably Somerset too. And the action we felt, we need to include colleagues in those other counties when we have meetings like this, and actually find some way of making those colleagues accountable. They do get money to teach and educate our children, and actually so they must have some accountability to helping us planning our services for them. Another priority was to make sure young people are not affected disproportionately when budget decisions are made, and an action that might possibly help, that was an impact assessment. And then finally, around making better use of what is available. There are quite a lot of services out there for children and young people, but many of them being delivered in small villages. Perhaps we need some better communication, and certainly to review again transport to be able to get children, young people, where they want to be, when they want to be there, because they don't plan their lives terribly well, so they don't know where they want to be tomorrow. It's kind of 5 minutes time, or let's get together in Hindon or Disbury or wherever. So transport that would help that is an issue. So, yeah, okay. Thank you.